How are you this morning? Yeah, the weather is really weird, and last night it's pouring. It was pouring a lot around. I woke up around 4 o'clock, and yeah, because of the rain sound. Yeah, today weather is like when you go to Southeast Asia and other countries, and then very humid and yeah, very cloudy after rain. Yeah, it's like today in the morning is very humid and little cloudy, but still it's not that hot, but very humid and hot like Southeast Asia. So I don't know what happened. It's been I have lived in California like for 25 years, but it's a July rain like this, and I never remembered what happened like this. Yeah, so it's really weird, but I hope you guys are doing well, and I can see a lot of cases is rising. The coronavirus cases, and I hope you are doing very well without any infection and positive tested and then test. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about this morning work. So how can Christians see the work, and work is really important, and without work you cannot make your need, and then you cannot live, right? So maybe if you have inheritance from your parents, and maybe you don't have to work, and then but still sustain your life. That is a different story, but not just for that, and but still, what is the work is your work is related to the purpose of life and the meaningful of life. So a lot of people try to do something not just to focus on making money, but try to carry out, accomplish what they are thinking, what they planned, and a lot of different ways. Yeah, that's why in a lot of different ways, and people work really, really hard, right? And when you go out and see the people, and in America, a lot of people want to become a doctor because it's one of the ways that they can make a lot of money, and they can live a life comfortably and conveniently in this society. But when you go out, and a lot of people, they study medicine and then try to came out of their own country and serve the people who are marginalized in terms of the medicine, like that. And they have a different purpose of life, and that's why they work very hard in different places. And then just think about as a Christian, how as a Christian, how can we work? What is the attitude? What is the value of it, right? And I hope that you guys get some idea about as a Christian how we work for society and for the kingdom of God. And work is defined like this way: and activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or a result. So this one is, I looked at a lot of definition, but it's from the Oxford language, and this definition is pretty comprehensive, and they the definition mentioned about physical and mental effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result, right? And if you go to mediumwebsite.com, and then the dictionary said, look at this, and to perform work or fulfill duties regularly for wages or salary works in publishing. That means that we need to work to make money, right? That is, and so every day you go to workplace and you work and make money for your living and for your life, right? That's one of the definitions. But look at this. Another one is to perform or carry through a task required sustained effort or continuous repeated operation work all day or has done. And this one is exactly the same as the other word, and not exactly the same, but yes, similar definition. Then depends on your function and workplace, and you gotta do something that required from your workplace. Maybe if you have a specific skills, and you gotta perform, you gotta work with your skills. If you don't have any skills, and maybe if you work at a restaurant, and you gotta follow the rules, right? Especially during the pandemics, and then a lot of regulation is applied and for safety, and you follow, but you don't have to do, you don't have to think about, it doesn't require a lot of mental activities, but still you need to remember, and you gotta follow the regulation and follow the rules, and you gotta work, right? That one is physically, mentally, and people really do something, right? And eventually that may be voluntarily, sometimes compulsorily, and it doesn't matter, but you need to do something in your workplace because it requires, and then you couldn't pay for your work, right? You got paid for your work, and then you couldn't make a living with money. So that is a work. Right? Definition is not easy, but work is kind of categorized by the skills. It's really skillful, like computer skills, and just think about new generation, sometimes graphic designs, and sometimes engineering. And if you don't have any specific skills and knowledge, you cannot do it, right? But some work is really kind of categorized by the nature of relationship, right? Employee, employer. Employees, you gotta work for employer, right? There's a different employer kind of manages the whole workers and workforces, but employee, and you gotta work for the employer, right? And sometimes it's not this kind of relationship, but still a contractor, and you have a contract between business or people, right? So, I'm gonna work for this one, and pay for like this, right? When you do something and you needed to find a constructor, general constructor, right? And then sometimes general constructor, and he doesn't have the skills, and he had a connection with others who had the skills, and then he mediate between consumer and the contract workers, right? So from the unskilled work to very skillful work, and a lot of different work out there. So I don't know what kind of work are you guys doing, and for me, I had a special education for theology to the ministry, right? And that's why I got ordained by the church association, and then I tried to work at church. And I'm working on my PhD, and then after that, it's really academic training to research and to teach, right? That's why this is my part of my work, my job, right? So yeah, depends on, and I'm hired by the school. The school is who is manager? I'm the employee, like this, right? There is relationship is there. There is a skill set is there, right? Sometimes work. Another word is labor, right? People go and do something, and that's the work, and then we provide the labor, our effort to do something, required, from the place, right? Workplace, So, how can we measure the labor force or labor pool? What is labor? Have you thought about it? There is a regulation, it's a law, rules. How can you maybe in America it's 16 years or older who really have a capability to work and willing to work, right? And full time in the past 4 weeks. No, like this, and then and who need to really wanna actively work? That's the workforce, right? Here is you must be available, willing to work, and have looked for work, listening, right? And then just think about the number of people who can work, right? That you work for. And still, these people, when we count labor and workforce, and then they can work. If they cannot work and they have any disability, cannot work, and we don't count for the workforce, right? And that is a workforce. And then we can see some people want to work, but they don't have a job. They cannot work. That is an unemployed, right? If you want to work, and if you needed to work for your living, and then they are working and they are employed, right? So there is unemployed and employed. How can we calculate unemployed rate? Always every year, and when election is coming, and they always talking about unemployed ratio, right? Rate, like 7% and 5% and 6%, like that, right? So they calculated and how many people are unemployed, and divided by the what? Those who can work, who can able to work, right? Just think about there is 100 people can work, and about around 4 people are unemployed, and then just how can we calculate, and then 4 divided by 100 and point 0.004%. 4% are the unemployed rate, right? Like this. So just think about it, and how can we calculate it in America, and then unemployed means that they should be in workforce, right? In America, it's around what? 16 years, 16 years and older who willing to work and and he can work, and think about available to work full time last past 4 weeks, right? Maybe high schooler and people are high schooler and then oh sorry. And and at least they had worked last 4 weeks, and but nowadays they don't work anymore, right? And but actively looking for working in the last 4 weeks, right? Even though they lost the job and they are not employed, but still they needed to keep finding a job, right? And that one is kind of employment. So nowadays, and when you work and you gotta they kind of taxes about unemployment insurance is there, and then government is collecting tax and plus side money, and then when you are unemployed, like during the pandemic, and then government tried to support about 80% of your wages, and then still until you find a job, and should maintain your work, right? Okay, let me shut down. That is when they calculate unemployed, and then at least they wanna work, but last 4 weeks people and then they worked, but they don't work anymore. Like this, they calculate it like this. What's the problem? Why they have why there is kind of unemployment? There is a full explanation theories about unemployment, and then there is a structural reason, and because just think about technologies is advanced and progress, and then they need to require the new job skill, right? If you don't have a job skill, maybe you need to train by companies, and you need to learn outside of your work to maintain your job, but you cannot, and then that is you may be laid off by from the work, right? And that's a structural reason. It's not related to your fault, but still you are unemployed because of the structure of work. What about the institutional cause, and then just think about it. New institution came in, kind of a manager group came in, and then they made new policies, and then they need to change it, right? And that's why. And we needed people for this policy, and we needed people. We needed to bring some people for this part, and this one is not anymore, so we gotta let them go, right? That is institutional reason. And so, what about the frictional? And there is some almost the same as this one, institutional, but some employment may be unavoidable by policymakers entirely, such as a frictional unemployment which is caused by workers voluntarily change jobs or first entering the workforces, right? And that's why, because of the policymakers is related to this one, right? So still these people and are searching for new job and recruiting new employees and matching the right workers to the job, all kind of related to this one is kind of caused unemployment, right? There's a frictional cause, rather cyclical. Cyclical improvement is what? Fluctuate type of the unemployment and rise and falls within the normal course of the business cycle. Just whole business is really good and what? A lot of what? People need, because they need a lot of demand and they need to supply for demand, and then they need more workers, right? They hire more. But sometimes business is falling down and slow down, and then demand is low, and then they cannot produce a surplus hold more, and then that's why they try to trim the employee and trim the plans and structures, and that's cyclical causes. So usually that one is this is unemployment rise when the economy is in a recession and falls when the economy is growing. So therefore the economic to be full employment, and just it cannot be depressed, it cannot be recessed, right? And otherwise it's gonna be create a lot of unemployment. So unemployment issue is really, really big. So especially in politics, and when I already told you, when elections coming and people are talking about, and then it means that just think about this and how they run the country business, and how they support the business by the law, and how leaders lead the business with their policies. That's a really big issue. So that one is Phillips curves, and to show the inflation and the unemployment rate. Just think about it, and there is and inflation is low and a lot of unemployment, but inflation is high, and then the unemployment is unemployment rate is reducing, decreasing, right? There's a Phillips curve to explain what's a correlation between inflation rate and then unemployment. So basically, work is really important. It's one of the four factors of the production. Just think about it. Without labor, sometimes who can do farming? Nowadays we use a lot of advanced technology, and then once in a while I watch the rest of the technology, how they use in farm, and how they use the construction, and it's amazing, right? Just think about, and maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, a lot of things, a lot of things done by manuals, right? Labor. So you gotta go and physically, and you can shovel and lay something, and by your effort, right? But nowadays, so advanced technology, take over a lot of human labors. But still, labors, I know nowadays the automation is key, researched and studied, and then robot is coming out, but still, they cannot take over 100% of human labor. While still, there is people who really specialize skills, and then they manage all things, right? There's still labor is needed. That's why, in 19th century, so there is Marxism, right? And two group of people is there, and the one is about labor people, proletariat, and then rest of and bourgeois, and who kind of manage and these people and has more power to manage the labors, and then that's a big issue. Then, but nowadays still in America, and like a critical theories, and then based on their theories, right? And there is a structural, systematic problems there, and then that's why we cannot create the justice, and we cannot create equality. They said it. But anyway, that's just that's another topic. But so we gotta know that the labor is really essential, even though the labor is the requirement of labor in the workplace is kind of reducing and decreasing, still needed, right? Another three factors. There's a land, right? Maybe we can build buildings and building rent, and you can maybe make a factory and manufacturer, and then still they can through the land, and they can make some production, right? And what about the capital and machinery and equipment and chemicals that are used in production, right? Better production, and even though if we use this machineries and capital, but human labor is decreasing, but still produce a lot of stuff, right? That's a capital, right? So, entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship is kind of this is the drive to profit from the innovation. So always someone who has a business mind and wanna do something new and apply in business, and then that is it's another more think about mentally, and more think about engineer perspective, and they try to make something, and then to produce more, right? Better. That is for labor, land, capital, and entrepreneurship, and then there's productions in productions in economics, right? What about the physical labor and mental labor? We call them blue collar and blue collar and white collar job. Nowadays, there's a 3D jobs and dirty and difficult, right? Dirty and difficult, and I don't know 1D. So I don't remember. And then there is usually physical labor requires, and mental job is you got graduate and try to work in the maybe lawyers and work in the office, and then maybe not everybody has a special skill set, but there's secretaries, and then receptionists, and then bankers, and a lot of people have different kind of work. But think about history. Let's talk about a little later, and then there is a lot of issues related to work. Maybe skill issues, and when you start to work, and then you try to right person for the right the work, right? The work, and then who need a right skill set, and then he can work very efficiently, and he can produce more like a skill set. But sometimes even though you don't have any skill set, and if you have ability, and then company willing to train you and then let you work like this, and knowledge is some work needs specific knowledge, like CPA jobs, and then finance job. You gotta know how to manage the whole finance and account, all kind of stuff, right? And another issue that we already talked about, unemployment, right? Unemployment, and so how many people lost job this year, period, this quarter, other quarter, what about this year, next year? And they always compare. I don't know how much it is substantial, but still try to compare, and then it really relates to the economic activities, and economically is really doing well, and then unemployment rate is low, and economics is so bad, like last years, like because of pandemic, and then unemployment rate is kind of really high like that. But there's a lot of reason, right? And already people said that, and especially for the pandemic, and then it's really workers don't exposed to danger, coronavirus, and then I don't wanna work, and I wanna stay home like others, and then they stay home because they don't work still. Maybe try to find a job, but actually they don't want it. But they keep filing unemployment, and they got the support from government, and it's okay it's okay to live with the support, right? That's why unemployment is really high last year. And another issue is also ethics, morals, and work ethics, and responsibility and accountability like this, right? And another issue, it related to the ethic, but still, discrimination. Discrimination in race and genders, and all kind of issues in related work, and maybe more and more. If you think a little bit more and deeper, and then there's a lot of issues related work, right? And sometimes between the work co-workers, and there's a big problem and created, and then some of them one of them leave the work, and then another one coming in like that, and it's not easy working together. It's not easy, but just think about, because you gotta work because you have to make a living, right? That's why a lot of people stay there, and then sometimes when their tolerance is coming up to zero, and then they leave the workplace, right? So think about it, which kind of a job is better, good. There is a blue collar job is there, and there is white collar job is there. And then blue collar jobs, they don't require a lot of skills and knowledges. I know when they work in manufacture, and then they learn how to operate the machineries and system, and then they have to apply, right? And they are expert on the part of the work. And then just think about it, but still we consider it not a specific high skilled required job. And that is kind of it's a simple, you need to learn how to operate the machine. But another side, and then if you study more, and then more like automation and AI, and automation and intelligence, and then computer, and like the work is, you need more knowledge, applicable knowledge, and you got to develop something, right? That is a little bit different job. And another job is kind of management groups. If you in management group and you take more responsibility, and then you gotta manage people, you gotta manage the whole workplace. So which one is good? Which one is better? Usually, we think so. People who doesn't have a college degree, and who drop out high school, and the work is work requires a high skill, and then people not educated enough, and they cannot go to job, right? That's why a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, and nowadays in Microsoft and other companies, and you don't need a college degree, and but we want to study your computer skills and knowledge, and then they're gonna hire someone, but not people, right? And always see that their degree, and then they see how their experience of work, right? And a lot of people nowadays, it's a high paid job is a good work. That's why a lot of people wanna become a high paid job, get a high paid job, right? Like lawyers and doctors. It depends on what kind of lawyer, but depends on what kind of doctor. But still, in terms of in average overall, and then they are pretty get paid higher salaries, right? But I know they work on extra 4-year college and 3-year another graduate school, and another internship and residency and fellowship. A lot of they need to spend a lot of time to get there. That's why they respect. And then, but that's why, and just think about and Greek and Roman period, and usually they look down on the physical work, labor work, right? And like a philosophy, and if you have a lot of mental activity, work related to mental activity and politics, and then they are really honored. So there is discrepancy between physical labor and mental mind labor, and then they really the mind work and mental work is the best. And that kind of culture was formed at the time. And think about that influence is carried to the middle age, and the physical work was it's really little and distasteful. Just think about it, and always look down on them, and they are not educated enough. They don't have skills, right? We already the society consider them, but nowadays, afterwards, Protestant coming out, and then Calvin and Luther changed Catholic too nowadays changed the atmosphere, and then there is no better, and there is no menial and honored job, and all jobs are same, all work are same. Depends on what God gave them the gift to the work, right? And depends on that one, but everybody has a different job and different preference, and so everything is really honored. Yeah, every job should be honored and respected. That one is that kind of environment. Yeah, atmosphere is started from the Protestant, Reformed, right, era, but still, I don't know. Just think about when you look back at your cultures and your countries, and then I'm from Korean culture, and then there's a big differences there always, right? And who has college degree and good college degree and get a good job, and they are always respect and honored. People are pursuing that one. But if you go to Japan, and then we can see the people who are really proud of their work. It's a family run down the business, like who make noodles, who make specific any food, and like a knife, and a lot of different kind of things, and they from the what is the generation to generation and handed it out, and they work for it. They are really proud of it, right? But that's why just think about your culture. How so work the work of work is set by the culture, right? And what's the people's attitude, right? So nowadays, when you come to church, nowadays we teach at your church, and there is no any unworthy unless godly job. But still, I don't like the terminology people said and used, and then what's a secular job and holy job and sacred job, and I don't like it. Kind of they dissect the two a dualistic mindset, and that's why relate to like it's from the Middle Ages. And then when I was in, still a lot of people say that. So I don't want to use the secular, and I don't want to use the sacred. That one is I know they try to little bit distinguish between among the jobs, but there is no sacred and there is no secular jobs, right? There is no, functionally it's different, right? Some people become a pastor and missionaries, and some people can be politicians, but some people still need to work in the manufacturers, and some people need to work with specific with engineering skills, like everybody is different, though. We should not judge others with their jobs, right? But society already formed which one is better, which one is not good or not good, right? That is that kind of attitude is kind of against the Christian values. What is the biblical view of work then? I tried to explain about work and basic definition, and then unemployment, and then the basic attitude about work, right? And how formed and how people think about it. I try to let you guys think about what's the issues relate to work. And then let's move to what is the biblical view of work. What did the Bible say about work? There is a few verses here, and then there is a Genesis 2, 2:12 it says, the Lord God took the man and put them in the garden of Eden to work it and keep it. What does they want? The work from God is given to human being, right? God created all things and put the human being in the garden and let them what? Work and keep it, right? But after the fall, something happened. So struggle to scratch a living from the ground to labor with the steward of your brow. With the sweat of your brow. And they broke the covenant with God, and then everything is surplus and plentiful. You don't need anything less, and then you don't have to do work for living. But after the fall, mean that Adam and Eve break the what? The covenant with God. Don't eat the fruit of the tree at the center of the garden, and then they tempted by the serpent, and then they ate, and that's why the covenant is broken. And God said, look at this, and then God said to Adam, and that because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and then have eaten of the tree of which I command you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you, and because of that, and the ground is cursed, right? You gotta take out the weed and thistles, and then you gotta work with it. And in pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So that is one of the consequence of the sins, the fall, and then we gotta have to work hard whole life. And the thorns and thistles shall be bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plant of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return, until you die. Right? That is that one is really big things in the human history. Before the fall, work is not that hard, right? There is no scarcity. But after the fall, there is a scarcity, and then you gotta make something. What about the Colossians? Colossians 3:23, like this. Whatever you do, you work heartily as for the Lord rather than for man. And one of the Bible said you gotta work with your heart, like for the Lord, not for the man, right? Just think about it. People are really honored and feared God, fears God, right? Fear God, and then sometimes we cannot see God. We cannot. God is invisible, but we know who God is through the Bible, in the Bible, and then we have a basic reverence and honor to God. And just think about when you think about when you work for God, and with the attitude, how can you work? You may not goof around, right? You are not be responsible, because if you work heartily as for the Lord, right? What about Matthew 5:16? Let your light shine before the man in such a way that you may see your good work and glorify your Father. And then what? Good work. And it shows what? God's glory, and glorify God through you, through your work. Proverbs said that the soul of a sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is made fat. So if you don't work, if you are idle, if you don't work, and then what happens? Yeah, you have nothing, right? There's a lot of verses said about work. One of the examples, and Ephesians 2:8-10 is for by grace you have been saved, and then not of yourself. It is a gift of God. As a result of your work, so that no one may boast. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. What? We work with God. We have God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good work. Right? And which God prepared beforehand so that we would walk in them. Meaning that we gotta do good work, right? What about the Thessalonians? Yeah, there is, but we urge you, brethren, Paul said to excel this more and to make it your ambition to learn, to lead a quiet life and attend to your own business and work with your hands, just as you commanded you, so that you will behave properly toward outside and not be in only need. Take care of your business. Work properly. Don't be a beggar, right? What about the 2 Thessalonians 3:10 and 12? For even when we were with you and we used to give you this order, if anyone is not willing to work, that he's not to eat either. If you hear that some among you are living a undisciplined life, doing no work at all, but acting like busybodies, now such a person are commanded, we command and exhort in Christ Jesus in the Lord Jesus Christ to work in quiet fashion and eat their own bread. They need to work, right? They need to work. So if someone doesn't want to work, and we have to ask for them to work, right? Look at the Ephesians 4:28. He who steals must steal no longer, but rather you must labor, and don't steal others, right? Stealing is not good. Don't steal others. Instead, you must labor, whether you make more and less. Depends on your job skill, right? Performing with his own hands what is good, so that he will have something to share with one who has needs. So think about it. It means that you need to work for not just for yourself but also for others. If you work hard, and you gotta share with people who need, not just for yourself, right? That's why we try to donate a part of our, donate to someone, out of our part of income, right? What is the price of work? Price of work. It's a living. So you think the work is for your living? Definitely. So deeper working skill and training and work period and that's a part of your make your living, right? And just think about advanced technology by transportation and communication, and then you can work any places. And really, maybe you have a special set of skills, and wage is around 25 cents in 1938, but nowadays it's not $15, 2000. No, it's not cents, it's $15, right? Just think about it, and also any kind of a job and provide earning. You can earn something from your neighbor, and then you can make your living, right? And that is a lot of different kind of jobs out there, and sometimes special skills and special abilities required, right? And depends on the job, and the pay is different. But there is minimum paid, but try to raise up to $15. But in federal workers, and try to raise up to $15, but not there yet, right? So your work is organized into labor markets, and individual, and then if you have a higher skilled job, and then you can pay more, and then there is a lot of jobs out there, and then you can choose what you like, right? And some of them, and I wanna teach in this school rather than this school, because this school, even though this school paid more and this school paid less, but my philosophy and my purpose of life is aligned with this school, philosophy with the schools. That's why, even though I make less, and then willing to go this way. And then if you are interested in more monies and fames, and you gotta go to this school, right? People, maybe you can give them more influence to the world, but in different way. That's your choice, right? But eventually, nowadays, the job market is really limited, and then even though they have a specialized education, and it's hard to get a job, right? Limited in quality and numbers. Sometimes, too many people are qualified, and then it's hard to find a job, right? Think about in this situation, and then what do you think about the controlling of wages? Do you think wages controlled by government is better? Or just depends on the job markets? That's why it depends on, this one is related to the what kind of economic system the country adopted, right? Theory and adopted, and they can use that one, and then think about nowadays it's a capitalistic society, and then they usually depends on the job market, and then wages different. But if you go to communism and socialist and communistic society, and then more controlled more by government, right? There is a pro and cons, and then we cannot say this is better and this is better. This is not better and this is better, but we cannot say that. There is always a pro and cons, but depends on what kind of political system you have, and what kind of economic system, and runs in the society, and then adopted by the society. Another thing is the big issues of work ethics. I'm gonna just go over quickly. It's a huge topics, and then just think about the ethics. Ethics. The term ethics from the Greek word, and then it's ethos, right? Ethos, and which have two meaning in common Greek use, and then habit, custom, or the ordinance or law. But nowadays, sometimes they use it interchangeably, but still, and there is meaning. And just think about the habit and custom is it's formed by moral, your morality, and what about the ordinance or law? They have there is a code is there, you gotta follow the code, right? That's a little bit different an aspect. So usually in Christian perspective, from the Christian perspective, and there is three approaches. It's a command approaches, and consequences approaches, and character approach. With the command, and you can use a lot of the laws in the Bible for society, for the human relationship and human communities. There, command. What do the rules say in the right way to act? Right? That's command. Well, don't kill. Don't covet your neighbor's property like this. And there is a lot of command is there. Consequence approach is there. What actions are most likely to bring about the best outcome? That's a consequences approach. If you do in this way, and then they kind of scale towards the outcome. So try to see better outcome. That's a consequences approach. What about the character? So what kind of moral person do I want to be and become? Because based on your character, you can influence what? Your ethics. And based on your character, you can practice your morality that forms from what you learn. You don't have to follow just the ethics like a code, and code was made by government or that's ethics, right? Just follow the code, and morality is it's a little bit different. I don't know whether you guys think about morality and ethic, and ethic is code that you have to follow. Just think about dress code. There is a dress code that's you gotta wear the long when you come to class, and then you shouldn't wear the spaghetti strip, and then you don't have to wear a tank top, and you gotta wear the shirt or polo shirt or whatever, and then you got a long pants. That's a dress code. One of the ethics that you have to keep. But morality is that they don't give the specific code to follow. But there is there is the which one is good or not good in your values. Just follow that one, right? Follow the good. And Dennis, Hollinger says that ethic is a systematic study of the standard of right and wrong, and justice and injustice, virtue and vice. With the view of applying this standard in the reality of our lives. That's ethics. And always, and there is a specific order, right and wrong, right? Justice and injustice, and virtue and vice. So there is a three approaches there, but there is what's the rule and commands and consequences approach is like modeled in there is a decision is there and we have to make action, right? And then determines what is the right things to do in each situation based on the command, based on the consequences, right? And that influence your define the applicable rules as a command, and then discern the best outcomes. There's the consequences. You gotta think about it, and then become a virtual person by doing the right things in situation after situation, and then based on you think about it and what is the command and consequences, and then do what you have determined is right. This is influence your characters. That is a rule, consequences, priority model. There is some set of the how can we choose right, make right, and how can we make a right decision, determine to do something right. And there is some guidance like gather all relevant fact and clarify the key ethical issues and identity rules and identify rules and principles relevant for the case, and consult the important sources of guidance, and ask for help from others in your communities, and list all the alternative courses of actions, compare the alternatives with your principles, and calculate the likely result of each course's actions, and consider your decision prayerfully before God, and make your decision and act. That is usually I did. When I decide something and just make a list, I don't know what to do. Sometimes I know it, even though I pray and I don't know what to do, and see, and I make a list all the way down. What's the benefit? What's the disbenefit? And like if I do, and what is the consequences? And what is the consequence? And try to see which one is better. And then before I decide and pray to God, and then which one is more peaceful in my mind, and then I just choose that one. I think based on the rule, consequences, usually I decide it. But another is character priority models, and just think about it. That one is based on how can you become a good person, right? Become a virtuous person, and then just think about it. How can you develop develop a virtual character there, so you have the wisdom and fortitude to obey the rules and seek the best outcome. That's why our education is really, really important. Sometimes we follow the commands and consequences, but without characters, there is a limit, right? It's hard. It's not easy to willingly. Some is hard for you, and they always complain about, and do I have to do? There is a lot of conflicts in your mind, but if you have characters, and then formed by the Bible in God, and then you really do it with joy. That is a good person, though. So that's why your Protestant education really focus on what? The character development. It's not just delivering the knowledge and skills, right? Our Christian education is really focused on the character development. So when you go to Christian school and you go to non-Christian school, there's a difference. I cannot say that the Christian school education is always successful for the student. Not really. Depends on the person how take participate in their education. But if you have a right motive and if you're willing to learn and form the right character based on the Bible, and then it's really important. But I know a lot of you can see a lot of happening. They say they are Christian, and when you go to church, and then it seems like they are Christian at church, but when they come out in their workplace, then they don't like a Christian who pursuing the God's word, right? There's total discrepancies. I personally I say it's not they are not mature Christians. Mature Christians are reducing the discrepancy between your knowledge and your actions. So determine what is the right things to do when the situation is unclean, and determine the applicable rules is in each situation is a command coming down, and then this is the best outcome in each situation is a consequences, kind of reverse way from the rules and consequences way, right? The first priority, and then because of the rules and then the consequences, I follow that one, right? Choose the right things. But as a character priority model is, I have a good character, virtuous character, and then I have to follow the command and think about the consequences, right? That depends on, but I think personally, there's a character priority model is really attractive to me. So from the childhood, we try to help the children to build up their character as followers of Jesus Christ, right? If you don't build, and if you don't have a right discipline, and if you don't build the right character from the childhood, and then it's hard and turn out to be really selfish and self-centered, right? Still, by human nature, we have a very self-centered orientation, but still, if you form your characters and then just think about it, and we're willing to go to this, we're willing to work in this field, like related to social work, and then a lot of people have compassion on the people who are struggling in life, and then willing to work for them. And some people don't have a compassion and always think about the success and fame and material, right? Just a different character. Yeah, and Alexander Hill, his book is just business, and then Christian ethic in business. He's thinking about in business and in the workplace, and it should be built not on the rules, but rather on the changeless character of God. As we study and observe God's character, we can learn to imitate God. Behavior consistent with God's character is ethical, which is not unethical. Just Alexander Hills and try to character priority model, right? He support. And then he suggests three principle. It's very simple. It's a holiness and justice and love. Just think about holiness, pursuing holiness involves single-mindedness, making God our highest priority, which means considering all other concerns are less important. And look at this. So, concerning such material goods and career goals and even personal relationship, right? That's a holiness. What about the justice? Justice provides order to human relationship by laying out reciprocal set of right and duty for those living in context of a community. And there is it's not one way, it's a round way, right? Reciprocal. If you set the rules for the one group, this is a favoritism, it's not a just. But in a lot of society, and they create laws and a set of rules for the people who have power. That's a big problem, right? It's not a justice. And love. Love is really, I don't have to say it, but he said love creates the bonds between people, and conversely, the breaching of these bonds causes pains, right? And justice and holiness without love, it's not easy. He suggested three simple and principle and to practice and build your character in holiness and justice and love. And holiness meaning that you don't follow you don't follow the wrong way that God said. So what is a sin? Sin is that separate from God. And sin is what? Breaking God's laws, right? And the holiness is keep pursuing walk with God's law and and keep to try to clear mind in your heart and your mind, right? That's your holiness. Holiness originally means set aside. You don't follow just something that just you want. No, just set aside, and that's a holiness. It's different from general stuff. It makes sense though. If you don't have holiness, it leads to godliness, and then justice lead to fairness, right? But love leads to compassion. So with the three things, they can mingle together, and then you build up your character, and then really influential in your work. How can we measure the goodness? What is good? How can we measure? It's really hard. Sometimes it's really relative, right? Depends on your criteria. And then some people say, that extension of the criteria is okay, but other people say, no, it's not okay. It depends on your standard and criteria, and then, good, that's good, that's not good, we can say that. Depends on your criteria. But as a Christian, just think about what is the good? How can we measure the good? And we need to know what is good, how we define good, right? And when you are in certain situation and in your workplace, and then what is good? Maybe depends on your values, your character, and the definition may be different, but if it's based on, from the Bible, and based on the Bible, and thinking about from the biblical perspective, and then we can know what is good. And what is the good for whom? Good for myself, or only others, only for others without me. And it's good for others and good for me, good for God. What is good for whom, right? We gotta know that who's gonna benefit from our good. God is benefit from our good. What is the benefit? And then He is worshipped, He is honored. That's all. It's not a materialistic, right? Can goodness be calculated? How can it be calculated? Maybe if you're good and this is 5 points and this is 3 points, this is 1 point. Just think about it, and depends on there is a moral code for yourself, and based on your value, and then you know how much percent of you has it, right? Do it. If you fully did it, and then 100%. If you do a little bit and 90%, 80%, like A, B, C, D in grade, so good in what context? Depends on the context, and then your goodness is really influential or not. So depends on depends on the context. So think about it, and in certain situation, it's not like just mandatory. Your goodness is just normal, and then it's not but in certain situation, like you sacrifice yourself a lot, and then it's really precious, and then it's really meaning more than any other things, right? And it's really measuring the goodness is really relative, but if you have a right value in your heart, and then if you have your character and your values in your heart, and then think about the word of God, and then you can see honestly. If you don't have right value based on the Bible, and you don't think about God's word, and then it's hard to calculate. Like, there is no difference. Some people are not Christian, but still they have a really good heart and willing to serve and willing to share what they have with others, right? They have a good character, I know. And there is a specific, maybe we can talk about later again, and then Burkett is identifies a principle in the Bible. So it's kind of what is good, and how can we be good at workplace? And based on the Matthew chapter 12 and then based on the Matthew chapter 5, 43 and 48, and Matthew chapter 41. There is he drew the 5, 6 principles and reflect Christ in your business practice. In other words, reflect Christ in your workplace. And how can you reflect Christ in your work? Right? That's one of the ethics. And then be accountable. And what about provide a quality of product at a fair price? Then in business, right? And if I don't know whether you guys engage in business, and sometimes they charge a lot, but the quality is really bad. Just think about it, the price and match it with the qualities. That's based on your accountability as a customer, as a businessman. What about honor your creditors, right? And treat your employee fairly and treat your customers fairly. That's the base, for the business. What about it's the same as your workplace, right? Business is without work you cannot do any business, right? And that is the really Bucky's principle that you practice as a Christian, and maybe you can add some more principles, but just think about also here's character building and Bucky's and the principles, and maybe we consider the Bible and what we said about the work, and we already went through, and then what do you think about the work ethics? So what is work? It's a punishment from God, or it's a salvation for our living? It's a philosophical argument there, right? What kind of attitude are you going to have when you work? It's from punishment from God and you hate God? Or, even though you fail to keep the covenant with God, and there's another way that I can survive, right? Depends on your attitude. What about, we gotta know that I already told you from the Genesis, and then work is a gift from God, right? It's not just a punishment. Originally, God let Adam work and then keep it, right? It's from God. So regardless of your job, and regardless of what kind of work you are doing, it doesn't matter. It's from God. I don't know how much your abilities applied and achieved in your work, and then that depends on your attitude, right? Maybe you can maximize your ability with the right attitude, but sometimes people, they don't want to work, and that is and my wife is struggling with the coworkers a lot, and then they don't want to work. They don't want to work. Even doctors and sometimes they don't take responsibility though. They don't know idea, and then even though they don't know something, and then they dig out and then understanding problem and try to solve the problem, and they don't have attitude. Okay, they do minimize at workplace, they do minimum work at workplace, and they think, oh, maybe behind who is taking over me, they're gonna take care of it. That kind of attitude. They are not accountable, they are not responsible, right? Can you think that they are right attitude as a Christian? Or right attitude for work as a Christian? And Bible said that if you are able, and you should work, don't beg. Bible said that if they can recommend to work and let them live with their own work. But if they cannot work and then very limited in even though they work, and then we gotta take care of them, we gotta share, right? Like people who are widow and recently coronavirus variant broke out in India, and suddenly she cannot read. She doesn't have any job skill, but her husband suddenly died because of the coronavirus. And she has 2 kids, and she doesn't know how to support the kids and living. How can we do as a Christian? Right? We can read the Bible, and then that's why we gotta take care of, we gotta help the fatherless, we gotta help the widows. At that time, and it's hard to make for living, right? Because they don't have if they don't have any land and workforce, and it's hard to make for living. So another one is the what we already read it, and work as to the Lord. We respect, we honor God, we respect God, and we fear God. Okay, so work as to the Lord. That's Christian ethics, right? Just summarize. I'm writing a Bible, and then another thing is that we say that a lot is workaholic. 7 days they work hard, and even though they have a family, and they just abandon the family and work. Sometimes I know they need work to support the family. Sometimes workaholic means that they don't have to work like that, and they need a break. They need a rest. But without that one, they really want to do something achieve for themselves, and they really work hard and hard. We call the workaholic. That's not the word. So you got to balance between work and rest. That's why when you see the creation order, and God, work 6 days, and then 7 days, and then rest. We try to follow that one, but we don't do that exactly. But a lot of Christians practice, and when they have business, and then they try to Monday through Saturday open the business, and Sunday close and take a rest. It's good for them. So without any break, and keep working, and you're gonna burn out soon or later. And mentally and socially and spiritually, if you really want to be healthy, and you need a balance with the rest. And what about the meanings of the work in life? Uh, a lot of people want to do something meaningful in their life, right? I'm the one of them. I know the purpose of life is different, right? Some people pursuing this one, some people want to do this one, and everybody may have a different purpose of life, but remember that the work and we have a workmanship with God. And we are working with God. Work is really privileged to work with God and to learn about God, to know, to experience God. That's really great privilege though. So we are His workmanship and created in Christ Jesus for good work. Okay? Remember that it's not just for our living. We need some for our living, but it's not all about. And accomplishment of the goal of life entrusted by God. So God gives to everybody and different talent and gift to do something, right? For His kingdom. And work is kind of through the work we can carry out God's plan, the goal of life. That is a really important thing. So I don't know how many people are thinking about the goal of your life and try to carry out the goal of life entrusted by God. And that one is your meaning of life. We said that someday we're going to stand before God and God's going to count everything that we have done. The work is expression of the expression of loving to love the ones like a family and other, and that is parents work hard to support their families and kids, right? And sometimes an husband cannot make enough and the wife work together to support family. Just think about it, and that is your expression of the love for your love, the ones you love, right? It's not just for yourself. And what about another aspect is that serving God in His big picture. And God has a plan for our life, and just not a selfish yet. If you don't pursuing your selfish goal of life, achieve something and to get more material and to get more fame through your work, and then I don't know. That is, if it's if it's from God, and it's okay. But just think about working is serving God in big picture, and because you through the working you reflect God's character, because the people who are not Christian see you. Oh, he's a Christian, and then but if you see your work attitude and your work and then reflect what you believe in, your values, and people will see God indirectly. They can see Christ indirectly. That's why serving the work is an opportunity to serving God. Maybe I know you gotta work, for your living. If you don't work and you have a big trouble in finance, that's why you work. But on the top of that one, that's why Christian living is hard. On the top of your necessity, but there is another thing. As a Christian, that is serving God. It's not directly, you don't directly serve God, but still you reflect God. You reflect Jesus Christ in your work, through your work. Maybe you could have more than this, but still think about it. What is the meaning of work in your life? This is a Christian perspective, right? If you work like right ethics, and if you pursue carrying out the meaning of work, and then you may respect. You should be respect in your workplace because of your characters, your integrity, your responsibility, your accountability, right? Nowadays, we don't have a work ethic as a Christian, and we don't have the meaning of the work in life, and that's why we don't work with integrity. And so a lot of non-Christians pointed their fingers on us Christians, right? And criticize Christians a lot. We cannot make we cannot make the people satisfied 100%. Maybe they try to find something to criticize the Christians, but still, just think about it. Whether they criticize for the small things, but try to reflect Jesus Christ, try to reflect God in your work, and then eventually, who's gonna win? You're gonna win because of God's blessing, right? Yeah. And we just get over kind of outline of the work and work ethics, and the reason is that I picked this topic and as a Christian, and then we gotta know who we are in our workplace. Okay, you are not just making for yourself, your living. You are serving God. Whether you work in non-Christian form or you work in Christian form, but I know sometimes you have to compromise the values, and then you have to. It's a lot of struggling with your values, but you gotta decide which one is good for company, which one is good for you, and which one is good for God. So, based on the these principles, and then that we shared, and I want them. I want you guys have some idea about how to work in your workplace, and maybe you can teach your children how to work. Okay, so we are talking. It's one of it's a basic essential part in economic. Work is labor and work is one of the essential part in economics, and then we try to see how we need to work for what, right? As a Christian, so I hope you get some idea about the basic attitude about your work, and then why are you working, and what are you working for, right? And I hope it helps you guys, and then maybe you can kind of get some idea about how to study about Christian work ethics, and then you can kind of dive into more deeper level. This is kind of outline and glimpse of the Christian ethics at workplace, and not the whole things, just a few things that we need to think about it, and then maybe if you have another idea or better idea about discuss and think about, and we gotta think about this some more, and then just let me know if you have, and then we can study about more and discuss about more. Anyway, you guys, and take care of yourself very well, and then I hope everybody stay healthy and strong. Okay, have a great week. I'll see you next week.